You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome and introduce you to Erin Andersen, founder of YourBrandNetworker, career transition coach, and flat rate legal hiring manager. Erin does some LinkedIn strategy and workplace culture consulting. She's located in New York City, but assisting small law firms nationwide. Erin, how are you? Thanks for coming in.
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
All right. So thank you so much for your support with Lawyer Stories, by the way. I know we've been trying to get you out to an event and the timing hasn't really worked out, but I do want to thank you on behalf of the Lawyer Stories team for being a really great supporter.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope to get to New York or Boston to one of these events soon.
Yeah, that'd be great. So there's a lot to unpack. You do a lot for the legal profession. All pretty cool stuff. So first, tell us your background, where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm from Westchester, New York, which is a town outside of New York City, or a county outside of New York City, I should say. And then I am the youngest sibling by about 17 years. So I moved down and retired. My parents retired and went to high school in Hilton Head, which led me to going to college and business school down south, and then starting my career, which was in corporate banking, actually, in Atlanta.
Wow.
And then after that, I moved back to New York City about 4 years ago, and I don't think I'll ever be leaving.
Yeah, that's right. I read something, I think, on your LinkedIn that you were sitting, or even we did feature you on Lawyer Stories. You were sitting at a cubicle and you were just sort of, one day you were like, never again. Is that something of what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I was really tired of the toxic work culture places that I had been in and experienced myself. And it got to the point that I realized through conversations and just hearing other people in my life that they were going through maybe not as severe situations at the time, but they just weren't really happy in their career, which led me to whether I'm coaching or whether I'm advising these law firms, focusing specifically on workplace culture and improving the workplace overall.
And you sort of found a niche by because you experienced what was missing itself. And I think that, right? I think that that's kind of an important thing for entrepreneurs like yourself. You find what's missing in the company and you go and do it yourself and create it yourself.
Yeah, going to business school, I mean, nobody could have told me that this is what I was going to be doing. I think I saw a word the other day, which was I don't know, it was combining first generation entrepreneur. And I guess that is me. We don't have anyone in our family really before I started. I now have some family members that have started businesses, but before then. And so I didn't necessarily have the guidance or growing up knowing I was going to be doing this. And initially going to business school, I thought I wanted to get into consulting and then switch to finance. And then it really all came together. You know, a lot of the times people will say to me, I'm so sorry what happened to you because I was in such severe toxic work cultures. And
Wow.
yeah, I usually say, well, I wouldn't be thank you, but I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. And that's really what helps my clients understand that I can help them because I've been there and I know how to get them out of it.
That's amazing. Because I've experienced a little. I don't like to say too much on here. I never know who's listening, but I understand what you're saying. I'd actually like to hear more about it, but I'm not going to ask you about the toxicity right now. I'm going to keep it positive about what you're doing. And so tell us what you studied at Furman and Wake Forest. You went to great schools. Tell us what your business and what else were you doing?
Sure. Yeah, I initially went to Furman thinking I was going to or I was pre-med, thinking I wanted to go into neurology. I have two nephews with autism
Wow.
on two different sides of the spectrum. And so I was an aunt at 10 with having older siblings and from an early age was super fascinated by the autism research that was taking place and continues to today, and the increased rates in autism. And so I thought I wanted to be a neurologist. I loved biogenetics, got to chemistry, and it pretty much took me out. And so at that point, I had switched to neuroscience and psychology, and then really came back to my roots because at the end of the day, writing is where my strong suit is.
Okay.
Um, so I became an English major at that point, which has definitely helped me in the work that I do today too. And then I went to Wake Forest for business school after that. And my concentration was in finance, but that's really what helped me go from an English major to the business world. And yeah, very thankful for both my networks, especially as I started my business. I've leveraged both of them and it's been extremely helpful.
And you're working with the women of Delta Gamma DG. You're still doing some work, right? You're helping
Yeah.
them with networking and maybe putting on some seminars or whatnot. Is that accurate?
Yeah, definitely. I was a DG at Furman, and I
Awesome.
get very involved in the alumni groups in New York. And a lot of
Cool.
my company and what I do is around networking. So I try to stay involved from all the organizations of my past and present.
So actually, Erin, tell me about networking, like in terms of what made you love it so much.
Yeah, I think, if sometimes I've asked people if you could describe me in one word, and usually it's a connector. Like people are like, Erin
Okay.
can connect. I feel like that's always been my strong suit and how my brain works. I usually can process things really quickly. And so when somebody says I need X, I have a lot of names in my head, but I'm usually able to pull them out.
That's
Or
awesome.
yeah, I need so and so for an event. I can usually think of who needs to be there. And so I started building this really big community. I've had it personal, and then I started as an entrepreneur. We were stuck in COVID. I started in 2020 and building that community virtually, knowing I was coming back to New York City.
Yeah.
And
So,
so then I built it in person.
so what does community mean to you?
Mm.
Since you grew, you're a connector and then turning into like a community. What does that whole thing mean to you, having a community?
Yeah, I think it's very similar to if you have those people in your personal life and your professional life, it's always somewhere to some person or some way to turn, right? So like we were talking
Yeah.
about this earlier where you're like, "Oh, this is a great resource." If I have a question, I usually can go to somebody. I've had a few real estate questions come up in the past 4 years living in New York, and I have a real estate attorney. I have an agent in my pocket. There's all these different connections I can go to.
So how did you take like what started as like a group of people and turn that into community? Like what did you do to kind of turn that into community? Did you start an email list? Did you have an event? Like how did you go about doing that? Especially over like after COVID, you said you were back in the city, whatnot.
Sure. So I was in a few networking groups that didn't have in-person components, and that was something I was really looking for.
Cool.
So I started asking the founders of those groups if I could go ahead and do something where I could have a private group that met together in the city. And I could. And so that's where it started. And then after that, I started saying, okay, I'm also going to do this on my own. How can I bring people together
Love it.
in small group settings? So I started there, and now I host quarterly events, and it's been really helpful.
That's amazing. Like I love that because I'm sort of similar with lawyer stories and our events are we've done few a year. I'd love to go quarterly as well. So that's great. Good for you. And it's great to have like that network and feel like there's people just running through your head of who you can talk to, who you can see how they're doing, and like if you need something, you got somebody to go to or refer them out for sure. So you kind of turn that into your business, right? Like you found something that was, I would say you found something like a strength, and you were, although you obviously have many strengths, like being wanting to be a neurologist and like English major, but you found something that was your strength, and you like sort of went with it, and you found a way. Maybe you use your business degree to like flip that into like a business. What was the process for you?
It's been quite the journey.
Yeah.
It's been exactly 5 years. And so it's gone
Okay.
through a lot of transitions. It start like leaning into that writing piece. It was very much resumes and LinkedIn profiles in the beginning. And
Right.
then
Okay.
it was general. I helped everybody. And then I figured out I really like solving a problem. So then it was transition. And then it was, okay, wait a minute. I'm still tied to the workplace culture. Let me get a certification. And then it was, wait a minute. I like the hiring side of this too. And then I honestly fell into legal. I didn't necessarily pick it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just get along well with
That
attorneys.
was actually my next question. It's you're
Yeah.
leading. It's great. So, like, tell us about your niche within the legal community and why lawyers. I know you just said you fell into it, but You get
Yeah.
along with lawyers. Tell us more.
Yeah. I feel, going the business path, I think if being a lawyer didn't involve going to law school, it might have been something I wanted to pursue
Yeah.
because I'm really passionate about the employment
It's
topics. And
never
so,
too late.
right. Being an employment attorney is, especially on the plaintiff side, is something that has always inspired me. I feel like I can really connect with those attorneys when I'm hiring for them and really sell the firm among the other areas.
Okay.
The only area that I serve. But I think advocating, right, is something that I've always done for myself or for other people. And so I find that was really the connection to the legal field.
Doesn't it make you feel like so good when you can connect somebody with another person or a job? I mean, that
Yeah.
must make you feel like it must do something for you, like gives you like inspiration and energy. Because
Yeah.
I get those feelings too. Is that how? I mean, what's that like for you?
Yeah, I think one of the most rewarding things is getting the text either from the candidate that I'm hiring or the person I've been working with for a few months that they got the job after maybe coaching them on several interviews. Keep in mind these are usually people that are discouraged and they didn't think that they
Right.
could do it. And so it's the best feeling, really.
Yeah, and so these are small firms. They come to you. So a small firm would come to you, and what do they say?
They usually tell me that they've used recruiters in the past and they don't have a great opinion of them, which is why I use the term hiring manager for myself.
Okay.
The market isn't good. We can't find anybody. We've been looking for several years, several months. We needed to, I asked them timeline. We needed to hire last night. We're not positive about the market. It's usually coming at it from a fairly negative point of view,
Interesting.
fortunately, because of past experiences.
Okay. So do
Yeah.
you have specific firms that you work with, or do people just kind of contract with you to like find somebody in your network for them?
I do dedicated searches for specific small law firms. So
Okay.
anybody who comes to me, small, medium-sized law firm, sweet spot, I would say is, 5 to 30, but I serve 1 to about 125 at this point in terms of number
Okay.
of employees at a firm. They do have to be on board with having a really good workplace culture or being willing to look at it and fix it if not.
Okay. So what's your process like when you go through your Rolodex and like the thing on your desk and you're at your desk and you're like, okay, what's a good candidate for this X, Y, and Z firm?
Sure. There's a lot of intake that happens with the firm. So
Okay.
really learning, anyone could tell me, they could just send me a job post and say, hey, I want this. But I usually say, tell me more about you. What's your personality? I'll ask them, who has stayed at your firm for a really long time? Can I speak to them? Because I know they've been approached by a recruiter at some point. I want to know why they stayed. And
Interesting.
and then usually they really like hearing that too, because it's something that they may not have thought about and it makes them feel good.
Okay, that's awesome. So are you always actively recruiting attorneys for firms, or is this like kind of once in a while type of thing?
It's always active.
Okay.
But instead of really creating a database, I may save really great candidates. It's a retained search per firm because I could have this database, but when it comes to who's honestly open right now at the moment, and who is going to be a good personality fit, it's so unique to each firm that it's retained searches each time.
Break that down. So when you say database, a database of attorneys or a database of the jobs?
Right. So a lot of recruiters work where they have this huge database of associates and legal staff. So I hire both depending on what they do. And a lot of the times they'll pull from those databases. The issue
Okay.
is, maybe Amy was available last year and now she's not this year, but she says, "Oh, we're hiring." Well, then maybe Amy takes us through the entire hiring process and just uses that offer to go ahead and leverage at her own firm.
Hmm. Okay.
Then it wasn't a real serious job search. I will conduct targeted searches, but I vet through applications to make sure these are people that are actually open to work and wanting to leave their current firm.
So the applications go to you or the firm.
Me.
So if you have job, like, do you post these jobs, or is it just the people that you know?
Yes, I have a LinkedIn recruiter license. So I go ahead and post, and I manage all applications. If we're hiring for a remote position, I could get upwards of 1,000 applications.
Okay.
If it's a more local position, maybe it's managing 25. And then in addition to that, I can conduct targeted searches and people have on their profile as an option open to work to recruiters only. and I can see that those people are serious about the job search.
Okay. Well, look, if we can ever help, like in terms of finding somebody who might be like a good candidate for you, like let me know. Like if you ever see anybody like on Instagram or share their stories, like maybe there's a way. We have a brand new website.
Sure.
Maybe there's a way there's some dynamic that we could help you like get your next applicants. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Just let me know. We could talk about that later. So that's amazing. So so why would somebody come to Erin instead of going to like a recruiter, like a big time recruiter or a headhunter? Like why do they want to go through you to handle that?
Sure. So there's a couple things. The first thing I like to point out, and probably the biggest thing out of everything, is that I'm flat rate. So recruiter typically charges 25 to 30% of whatever the salary is that that candidate is hired at. And
Wow.
sometimes it doesn't stop there. It could be their entire comp for the year if they're a more senior attorney. So mine is flat rate for support staff and then associates, which obviously is just more affordable for a small law firm to scale, but
Yeah.
it also means that they can plan ahead of time. So they
Right.
know, maybe I want to hire 5 people this year at this rate. It's going to cost me X versus I have no idea what the fee is going to cost me because I don't know what the salary is that we're going to land at.
So, okay, so let's go through the math a little bit. So say, and I'll use a very round number. So say like the associate at the big firm or the recruiter's charging a fee, like you said, what, 30%?
25 to 30 typically, yeah.
25. So they would, if it's $100,000 salary, they'd get like 25 grand of that for the year.
Correct.
Wow. And do they have to work a certain amount of time at that firm in order to get that money?
So I offer a 90-day guarantee, and they often do sometimes as well.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be up to 6 months. It depends. But keep in mind, associates and where salaries are at right now, it's more likely 150.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I was just you because I wouldn't be able to do that math.
Right.
Okay, so
Right. Yeah, it's a lot. It adds up. And
yeah.
then it prevents a small law firm. They might say, okay, well, we hired our associate. Now we can't even hire office manager until next year because we can't afford
Right. So you're hiring the associate. You're basically paying, plus you got the salary, but you also are going to have benefits and everything, and that's another quarter of like whatever it is total comp, and then you're going to have to pay another that to like the recruiter. But you're coming in and saying, look, this is my fee. You can plan ahead. You know what you're working with. This is
Right.
what I charge. Go through me,
Exactly.
and you probably have like a different, more thorough evaluation process. I bet too. The way
Absolutely.
you handle and review the resumes, you probably do a little research on the person too, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I more come in. So that's the other thing is there's a time saving aspect because I more come in and manage the entire thing. So it's a
Right.
recruiter might just send some resumes. I write the job posting. I do intake. I manage the applications. I check references. I consult on the offer letter so that the firm isn't having to take not just the partners, but not assign HR maybe internally at the firm or somebody else to use the hours they need to work to review candidates and interview them.
So do candidates ever come to you directly and say, "Hey, I need a job"? So it happens on like both ways?
It does. Sometimes people think I just hire for anything and they're like, hey, let's have a conversation. And it's like, well, follow me on LinkedIn because then you'll be notified of what I post. But unless, if somebody came to me and they're like, I need advice on how to stick out in the legal market, that's another service I offer. But mostly, a lot of
Right.
candidates will send me custom messages on, hey, I saw the job posting. I didn't want to just submit my application. Here's me taking the next step further.
Okay, so you do still help people who say you find an applicant or just somebody like they can hire you to help with the LinkedIn, right? So you'll do that as
Yeah,
well, but it's not as much as where you are with the hiring manager, right?
correct. Yeah. I get a lot of people because they see that I specialize in legal. They'll say, hey, I know you review how many resume and applications. I need to stand out. Can you consult me on how to do that? And I will on resumes and LinkedIn.
Yeah, no. So, and by the way, talking about your LinkedIn, right? So, I do some research before my show, obviously, because it's important to me. Your what do they call it?
Headline.
Well, the headline, no, but the picture in the back, thing's
Oh, the
amazing.
banner.
The banner, I don't know, I blanked. The banner's incredible. It's a great job the way that they have it set up, and it's even like a click here thing on the right side of it, so you actually go down and click it.
Right.
But you have, I think, like the most reviews that I've sort of like ever seen on LinkedIn. I mean, recommendations, excuse me. So You have over 135 recommendations on LinkedIn from people. Those are people writing recommendations for you that you've helped their career with. So
Yeah.
that is amazing. Congratulations on that. Tell us a little bit about LinkedIn and how you've worked LinkedIn to make this brand for yourself in this niche.
Yeah, I think something that a lot of people don't know about me or are quite shocked is that I've been able to build a business over 5 years without a website, and I've solely built it through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I've had several people tell me in the past that I wasn't going to succeed because of it, which only makes me want to succeed more.
Why would somebody say that? But I mean, maybe they're just being realistic. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, listen, it's not something I discourage to do, and when I will do it, right? Maybe it's a 2026 project, but until you really refine every single thing, I just don't think it's necessary when you understand the LinkedIn algorithm. It works hand in hand with Google. So it's essentially LinkedIn SEO. So I've just fine-tuned it so much that I also get natural leads through LinkedIn every single week because
amazing.
people tell me I come up at the top of a search no matter where they're located in the United States.
Wow, that's excellent. So say somebody came to you and said, like, I need to illuminate my brand. That's a word that you use, like illuminate your brand on LinkedIn. Like, what would your first like couple steps be for them?
Yeah, I'd say the thing that people miss the most, and what's really helpful is I have the recruiter lens of this. If you do not have your headline optimized, your skill section, and descriptors in your about section, I literally can't see you in LinkedIn Recruiter. So
Okay.
people will have, like, when I'm conducting a targeted search, especially for really specific roles, and you don't have the keywords of what you specialize in, I'm completely missing you, is number one. And number two is if you don't have open to work to recruiters only, you're also not going to pop up when I search candidates open for that area. And it's not because of people being lazy. It's more like they just don't understand that that's how LinkedIn Recruiter works. And so I wish everybody was doing it. It would make my job easier.
So you're a LinkedIn recruiter.
Yes.
What's the process to do that?
Um, no, it's not like you necessarily, I mean, I'm sure there's some LinkedIn approval I had to get, but I just have a LinkedIn Recruiter license, which means I have LinkedIn Recruiter, which is like a platform on LinkedIn.
Okay, okay, I got you. I got you.
Yeah. It's not like a
Um,
certification or anything.
what? Tell me what'd you say?
It's not like a certification or anything
Oh,
like
okay. I wasn't sure. I just what?
that.
Tell
Yeah.
me. What's your definition of having a personal brand? I know it's not your biggest thing that you're doing right now, but
Sure.
do you have some sort of like a definition that you could share?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like your personal brand is, I'm a very visual person. So, like, as soon as you said that, I see a Venn diagram and it's the personal part of our life and the work part. And it's really what's in the middle of that. A lot of people will find if you ask them, if you ask friends, family, a partner, colleagues, what is a word to describe me? You'll often see that they actually blend together, and most people are very shocked by that. But what you're naturally good at does come through at work, even if it's maybe not the ideal career or what you thought you were going to be doing. So it's creating this brand and being very intentional with it of this is the reputation that I want to be known for because I'm really naturally good at it. It's always easier for us to do and follow through with things we're really good at.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I think it's more important than now to have a personal brand and visibility, right? Like you talk about visibility a lot, illuminating your profile and like visibility. So I guess maybe that's like similar type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, very similar. I mean,
Yeah.
if I go to a profile that has a banner and all of their keywords optimized, and in the about section, they're telling me a little bit about their story and why they got into it and listing out their areas of expertise, I'm going to be much more inclined to not only interview that person, but highly recommend them to the firm.
Okay. So what's a standard work day for you like? I mean, I know you have your own business, which is pretty sweet, and like are you going through resumes for law firms, small to medium law firms? Are you trying to set up the interview, trying to pick out that right person?
Yeah, so my day starts quite early because of the way the LinkedIn algorithm works. And so if I know I need to post a position or refresh or repost a different position that I had already previously posted, I ideally want to do that between the hours of about 8 to noon at the latest, but really 8 to 10 is key. And so I like to get up and do that by around 8 for best results, especially on a Monday. I like to post on a Monday. I find that the best results come in for job postings. And then
And is that just on your page, Erin, too? Like the jobs are on your page? You don't have a separate page for that, right?
unfortunately, no. So I think that might be something I don't know. Like I've asked LinkedIn this. I'm like, it would be great for you to land on my profile and show everything I'm hiring for, but because it's not that I'm not hiring for my company specifically, it does not show. But if you follow me, you will get notifications of what I'm hiring for.
Okay. And where does it bring you? Like, where does the thing? The
It'll bring you to the exact job post and then you
okay, okay,
apply
okay.
and then it'll show that I'm the hiring manager and then because this is always the best thing to do, you can reach out with a custom message.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so they put you in as hiring manager. Okay, so then, so till 10 o'clock, you're refreshing. You're going through the jobs. You like to post on Monday. Keep going.
Yeah, and then depending on, all of my clients are at different stages. So I like to think of Tuesdays and Thursdays really as like my interview days, but then
Mhm.
I keep Friday or every other Friday open because since COVID, a lot of people work remotely on Fridays. And so because I conduct that first round interview for a firm, it's really important to me to make sure that they don't feel trapped. They already know in the second and third interview that they may have to miss work or leave work early that day. So I try to keep my mornings open, like a 7:30 or an 8 if they want to interview before work or on that Friday. And throughout the day, I try not to go on LinkedIn and continuously check because I just don't think that produces the best results. And so I
Mhm.
try to set certain times of when am I going to review applications as a whole? Because if I review one candidate here and another here, well, I'm going to have a different opinion if I view all of them at once. So if I post on a Monday, then on Friday, I'm going to review all the candidates from that post. And then that's the first round that I produce to the firm.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. So obviously these law firms, they're like this Erin Andersen, your brand networker. Like we really trust her to look and bring us the best candidate possible. That's really cool. Um, so what do you say? What's your advice for somebody who's thinking about making a career transition? I know this is sort of off topic a little bit,
Yeah.
do you have any advice for somebody? Like
Yeah. I
maybe,
mean, it comes across a lot in hiring too, right? So
yeah,
if I'm doing an interview and I'm interviewing people, a lot of the times I'll say, I know maybe I did PI before, but I want to switch to family law, whether they're
okay, all right, yep,
still litigation,
yeah.
and will sell it to me.
That would
Well,
be a career transition. I don't know why I was thinking like lawyer to nurse or something like that, but I guess like that would be a
yeah,
career transition. Okay, yep.
you
So,
know,
yep.
I know they have to sell it to the firm, so I usually say, in other words, but sell it to me. Like, I really want to know not just what attracted you to this job, not just what attracted you to this firm, but like, why do you want to do that? Why, and tell me how your skills are transferable. So it's really important. A lot of people think, well, like, oh, first round, they're just going to verify a few things. No, if you're transitioning, you need to sell me in round one on why you are a best fit because you're competing with people that may have 5 to 10 years of
Right,
experience in that area.
right, totally. So, are you only hiring for law firms, or do you do other business like accounting and that sort of thing?
At this point, it's about 90% legal. There's this great community of bookkeeping firms online that are often usually mom-led firms that have really scaled. They're virtual
Interesting.
bookkeeping firms that are supporting other online business owners. And often I will hire their seasonal tax preparers or full-time team members as well. And so that remains about 5 to 10% of the business, and the rest is legal at this
And
point.
is it just it's any type of lawyer, any type of
Any type of lawyer from a solo to, I've worked with, I'm about to work possibly with a firm that's 125.
good
I
for
wouldn't
you?
go much larger. A lot of people say like, why don't you get into big law? And like, well, that really comes back to like why I started workplace culture. It becomes departmental versus the entire organization. And then it's hard to control culture. And then my flat fee, right, is really another one of my selling points. Big law doesn't necessarily care as much as a
Do you
small law firm.
do you
So
raise that fee though for like a bigger firm? Is it like a sliding scale for you? No?
no, it's flat rate because I mostly work within small law, and so I like to because I'm a small business owner myself, I really enjoy seeing how this small firm fee can help these firms scale and grow at a much faster rate.
Do you consider yourself like a hiring manager, but also like an HR in a way?
I'm careful with that word only because I don't do the other things. And so it's
Okay.
interesting because sometimes a law firm will say, we want to connect you with our HR person. And that's actually not usually the best connection. Sometimes they feel threatened, yet at the end of the day, I'm just making their job easier because I don't
Okay.
do any of the other things that they do.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I was just thinking like in terms of the hiring and then the workplace culture and that, but you're not doing any of the other type of
Yeah, I mean,
onboarding.
it falls under HR for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I list myself in a category for businesses, and I would say it's HR services, yes.
Gotcha. So let me flip the page. Let's see here. So tell us, let's talk workplace culture for a minute. I've worked in a few places and it's always an interesting dynamic. So what's your idea of a positive workplace culture?
Hmm. Um, I think the safe feelings, right, are what comes like what how we all want to feel, whether it's when we're at home or how we're gonna feel in relationships with friends and family, and it's all about like security and comfort. That when you're at work, there aren't these pangs of anxiety or these feelings like you can never fulfill what you set out to do.
Right.
A feeling of like not really having the Sunday scaries. All of us are like,
I
oh
was just
shit,
gonna say
Sunday
this
tomorrow.
Sunday scaries. Yeah, I used to have a job
Right?
where I got those pretty bad.
Yeah, and we're all going to be like, oh, gotta go back. If we love our job, right? It's Monday tomorrow,
Yeah.
and it's still being on it. Maybe we love our job, but it's a schedule, but not feeling like, oh God, what the unknown is going to happen tomorrow. If you are in a good culture, of course things can come out throughout the day, but that shouldn't make you feel that way. You should be able to take that on,
Yeah.
with a good, feeling very comfortable.
Yeah.
Um, Taking that on without feeling like I have no idea what's going to come up. I have no idea how my manager is going to react.
Oof. Or how
Yeah,
they're gonna be, or what kind of mood they're gonna be in, and that sort
right.
of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Okay. So, do you have any advice for me? Excuse me. Any advice on how to build a positive workplace culture?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is really asking your staff, the people that have been on for a long time, what is it that you like? Because that needs to go into the culture of your firm. And the culture of your firm is not the missions and value statement on your website. I think that's one of the biggest things that people tell me when they say, well, go look at the missions and values statement. It's like, no, what is your culture? You don't even need to write it out, but to be able to explain why your law firm is different from the one down the street and be able to sell it to the candidate. But building that could be, there's different things we can do. I'm certified in culture talk, and that's something that can be brought into a firm to enhance it or build it, but really speaking to your employees. What do they like? What do they not like? What is it that they've seen elsewhere that's worked really well? What is it that's missing that would make them feel more welcome? There's law firms that are doing even like small perks, like team outings or doing things internally at their office that just shows appreciation. Almost always giving like this I think of like Survey Monkey, right? Like
Yep.
sending something out every once in a while or a box with where people can put different things into it,
Oh
but it's
gosh.
contributions from everybody, not
Yep.
just founders.
Okay. That's great. I like it. Contributions from everybody.
Right.
Note to self.
Yeah.
Okay. From everybody. Um, Give us some solid networking advice.
Hmm. Yeah. The biggest thing I've realized after 5 years is it's not powerful to be in every single room. It's powerful to be in the rooms where you have the most takeaways, and that doesn't always mean the most closed business. Sometimes it's also communities. So I'm very intentional with not just tracking closed business, but where do I also feel like I have community that people understand when I have something going on in my life, who reaches out and notices I'm not in a meeting, right? Like
Right.
who really recognizes you in the room and knows you so well that when they're referring you or want to refer, they're not like, wait, what does she do? Right. So
Yeah.
feeling like you're in a room where people get you from a personal perspective and a business perspective.
Good. I like it. Um, so your brand networker is still a thing. Like, is that how people reach you for your services to be able to connect with a law firm or law firms to connect with you to be able to do their hiring?
Yeah, yeah, that's my company name. So a lot of people will I mean, I feel like because I'm just very involved in the community here, and then even nationally at this point. People will know me by my name at this point, so they'll refer me.
Yeah, yeah. That actually was another question, like where are most of the law firms that you're working with these days?
They're all around the country. I do a lot in New York City because I'm based here,
Okay.
but Boston is probably second because I'm also up
Okay.
there sometimes. A lot up and down the East Coast from Rhode Island to Miami, and then larger cities. So it's usually greater urban areas or greater urban areas. That's how I like to refer to it. But I've hired for a firm in Wyoming. I've hired for a
Cool.
firm in Indiana. So it's not limited. It's just I always like to tell law firms when they're asking is, do you think we could find an associate in this area? And the question usually is an associate 5 years or less living in that suburb? A lot of them are living in cities. And so we
Right.
just think about, are the candidates actually there? Or do they want to do a reverse commute or not?
Right. Makes sense. Um, why is your work so important to you, Aaron?
I think it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. I mean, there's few things to me like, slightly more rewarding in a work perspective, obviously, where I can get something, I text on a Friday, and a massive client emails asking questions, and they just tell me how grateful they are,
That's
whether it's a
awesome.
client of my own that I've helped get out of a toxic work culture that has not only affected them professionally, but as we know, it starts to affect personal relationships and our mental health. And then on the candidate side, when I hire somebody, I get gratitude from the firm and then also the candidate. And those notes or unexpected texts just they're usually happening on a Friday, so they really make my weekend.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congrats. Did we leave anything out that you wanted to discuss?
I don't think so. I would just say advice for law firms or people looking at firms, like pay attention to culture because at the end of the day, when it comes to retention, you could hire the best candidate on paper, but if it's not the right person for your firm, it only takes one person to impact that. That's something to remember. And it also takes one person to make it better.
Love it. Erin Andersen, your brand networker. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And everybody else, stay there, please. And everybody else, thanks for tuning in. Wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves.